من يريد الله به خيرا يفقهه في الدين.
Al-Hafidh ibn Hajr lived in a time where the Ash'ari Aqidah was the main Aqidah that was taught. That was what his teachers taught. That was what the people expected from the people of that time. That doesn't mean there were not people upon the Sunnah. There were always people upon the Sunnah. But that was the dominant teaching at that time. Al-Hafidh ibn Hajr rejected a lot of what they say. A lot. He rejected taqdeem al-aql ala al-naql, the idea that the intellect is given precedence over the Quran. He rejected that. He rejected rad, khabar al-wahid, rejecting the singular narrations. He said, no, I don't agree with that. What he did is he fell into some of the issues regarding ta'wil al-sifat, misinterpreting the names and attributes of Allah. Some of them he fell into. Does that make sense? Personally, I think it's very unfair to call him an Ash'ari. Because I think if you call him an Ash'ari, that means that he agreed with the fundamental principles of the Ash'a'ira, which he didn't. What we would say is he fell into some of the things that the Ash'a'ira fell into. Rahimahullah ta'ala rahmatan wasi'ah. May Allah have mercy on him with vast mercy. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive him and forgive us. He fell into some things that they fell into. He lived among them, he studied from them, and he fell into some of their mistakes. But their greatest mistakes and the worst of them, he was very far away from them. So some people will say you should call him Ash'ari because he fell into some of what they fell into. And some people will say you shouldn't because he didn't take on board their usul. He just fell into some of the mistakes they fell into. And I think the second one is more just. وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ أَلَا أَنْ لَا تَعْدِلُوا اِعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Be just, that is closer to taqwa. And to be just is to say وَقَعَ فِي مَا وَقَعُوا فِي بَعْضِ الْمَسَائِلِ. In some of the issues he fell into what they fell into, but he didn't take on board some of the worst of their usul, and he was opposed to the idea of taqdeem al-aql al-naql, the idea that the intellect has precedence over the narrations. Rather, he gave precedence to the narrations every single time. And he defended khabar al-wahid or al-ahad, the hadith which are ahad, and he fell into some things. For this is, inshallah ta'ala, what is worth mentioning. It's also worth saying that even if he were to be from the Asha'ira, for example, like Al-Juwayni, there is no khilaf about Abu al-Ma'ali Al-Juwayni, Imam al-Haramain, rahimahullah, that he was an Ash'ari Imam. There is no, you cannot go one way or the other. Rather, he's from the main A'imma of the Asha'ira. But we still study Al-Waraqat, his book Al-Waraqat in Usul al-Fiqh, because the scholars say there is great benefit in that book and it's a suitable book to study. And there are mistakes, but those mistakes can be clarified and pointed out. And so we could still study the book even if, but I personally would say that it's unfair to label him with them in everything. Rather, just be careful that he fell into some of the issues in Ta'wil al-Sifat, misinterpreting the attributes of Allah, particularly in Hadi al-Sari, which is the introduction to Fath al-Bari. And that's why if you have a copy of Fath al-Bari, I would highly recommend that you get either in the footnotes or either as a separate book. There is a correction of the Aqidah mistakes in Fath al-Bari by a group of scholars, among them Shaykh bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, who commented on the areas where Al-Hafidh ibn Hajr fell into those mistakes and clarified them in the footnotes. My copy of Fath al-Bari has it in the copy itself. In the footnotes, there's a footnote. And for example, Shaykh bin Baz says, this is a mistake. What he said here is wrong. The correct belief is like this. So that's there. But in this book, Nukhbatul Fikr, it is going to come up. And when it comes up, I'm going to clarify it to you. It's going to come up in the issue of al-yaqeen wal-dhann and the issue of al-hadith al-Qudusi. The issues of the madhab of the Asha'ira is going to come up. The issue of kalamullah, the speech of Allah, and the issue of the issues of al-yaqeen wa shak, certainty and doubt, it's going to come up. And I'm going to explain it to you as well, inshallah ta'ala. But generally, you're not going to find it in a huge amount in the book Nukhbatul Fikr, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best.